Good evening. People rioting in the streets, cops turning a blind eye to violence, knife crime out of control, British values and the rule of law discarded. We need a Conservative government, but we don't have one and haven't had one for decades, and that's why we're in trouble. Whilst the violence that we've seen in Southport, Hartlepool and elsewhere this week is appalling and unacceptable, particularly any attack on our brave police officers, it is wrong to ignore the concerns that people have about how our society is functioning or not, as the case may be. And it's even worse to label them far right. This was Sir Keir Starmer's hot air response today as he set up a police task force to tackle the riots.
And let me be clear, the meeting this afternoon was not about pointing the finger of blame. That is not how this government of service conducts its business, because it doesn't work. Rather, this was a meeting to pull together our response, a response both to the immediate challenge, which is clearly driven by far-right hatred.
Spare me the pearl clutching. Just as those who called out the madness of lockdowns and mask and vaccine tyranny were labelled granny killers, so the accusation of racism or extremism is the automatic response of the political and media elite, who enjoy enhanced social status from their virtue signalling and their luxury beliefs, whilst ordinary Brits pay the price. Woke progressives in the media and in politics, whose views politics professor Matthew Goodwin estimates to represent a maximum of 15% of British public opinion, take great pleasure in mantras like diversity is our strength, whilst insulated from the reality of parallel communities in working class towns, where the language is not spoken, where British values are not shared, and where the rule of law is taken with a pinch of salt. The trouble that we've seen on the streets, which I once again absolutely condemn, is a symptom of an ignored problem and caused by the gaslighting of those who govern us. Why shouldn't people be angry about vast legal net migration, which has a direct impact on the availability of housing, school places and NHS resources, not to mention social cohesion? They should be angry. Why shouldn't people be angry about illegal immigration, with people entering the country whose backgrounds and legal status we do not know, and the accommodation of whom is costing £8 million a day and rising? They should be angry. If you think it's okay for fit, fighting-age young men to chuck their phones and documents in the sea, then land on our shores and run for the hills, then I can't help you. But of course, in Islington, North London, these folk are heroes, because in Islington, they do not live with the consequences, unlike residents of small towns blighted by migrant hotels. The message is clear from politicians on both sides of the aisle, as well as woke TV stars and right-on journalists. We don't care about your pathetic little lives. And if you call out the realities of our increasingly broken society, you are a bigot, you're far right, and you're a racist too, obviously. Even though it is Brits of all colours, all races and all cultures who are worried about what is happening to their country. The truth is that there are horrible racists out there and far-right thugs who disgustingly have made hay this week. But those horrible creatures shouldn't be lumped in with the millions of people who feel that increasingly our country doesn't work anymore. People who feel unsafe, who feel afraid, who feel sad, and who feel a profound sense of injustice at resources diverted away from them. Diverse, multicultural Britain can work, but only when based around the idea of one nation. A single vision for the country, for its future. A single set of values, a single shared dream, a single hope for what this country is and can be. Not siloed, ghettoised communities living parallel lives. Now, I'm a Dolan. I'm the son of Irish immigrants myself. And my parents came here in the 1960s with a clear plan to become British, to assimilate. That is the duty of anyone privileged enough to arrive here and to call this place home. Now, I embrace diversity. Britain has always been diverse, but it only works when rooted in common values, British values of decency, fairness, tolerance, freedom, openness, commitment and hard work. Britain's strictest head teacher, Catherine Birbalsingh, told me on this show last night that multiculturalism is failing because whilst it offers rich opportunities, it needs to be managed and worked upon. I completely agree. If that doesn't happen, and fast, the country as we once knew it will be lost forever.